this right now, the chances are you have at some time in your life voted for a Republican, possibly even given one money, because what were your options? You didn't feel you had any. But after you did that, you likely stood back and watched the Republicans in Washington and thought to yourself, these people have very different priorities from me. I didn't vote for them in order for them to do the things they're doing now. They seem to care about things that have nothing to do with my life at all. In fact, it may have occurred to you, they may secretly hate me, and you may be onto something. But have you ever asked yourself what it would be like to work among them? To be an elected Republican in Washington who actually believes something and actually wanted to represent your constituents? What would that be like? Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene found out a couple of terms ago. She's from the state of Georgia. She was elected to Congress. She's had an amazing 2 terms there, and she's written a new book about it called MTG. She joins us now. Congressman, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So I'd never met you. I didn't know anything about you. I don't follow this stuff very carefully. And the first time I heard of you was in an explosion, a Vesuvius of news stories, calling you a crazed Nazi, anti-Semite, and attaching you to the phrase Jewish space lasers. And so I thought, well, that's kind of a crazy. So I looked it up, and it was like, you never said that. It had nothing kind of to do with what you said. And then I watched the Republicans in Congress. It was a smear job, very obvious. 2-minute Google search proved that. And then the Republican leadership in Congress immediately attacked you on the basis of the smears without even looking into them. And I thought, well, I'm not really surprised because that's who they are. But what was that like from your perspective? I've always wondered.
Shocking. As a matter of fact, in January of 2021, all of Washington and the media, the national media, created a character of me that didn't exist. And then they sold that character across the news platforms, all across the country and across the world, 24/7. And Washington bought into it too. And so every single day I showed up to work, all of a sudden I was like this toxic poison member of Congress in Washington. And it was attacks day in and day out. It was something I'd never experienced before.
So, but it's a little weird. I mean, look, I think partisan loyalty can go too far. I think if you like drive off a bridge drunk and kill a woman, as Teddy Kennedy did, your party shouldn't defend murdering a woman. That's my view. However, if you're being unfairly smeared, I think it's fair to hope that your party will defend you against an unfair smear. So what's the point of having a leadership if they don't defend their own members against lies?
Well, because I wasn't, I guess, in line, so to speak. I was completely from the outside. No one had propped me up. No one had told me to run. As a matter of fact, I never even went to a GOP meeting anywhere until I announced that I was running for Congress.
So you didn't go through the normal process?
I didn't go through the normal rank and file, and then I beat a candidate, a Republican candidate that was highly supported by the establishment in Washington, Steve Scalise. Over 30-something members of Congress had raised money for him, endorsed him, and then I beat him by double digits.
In the primary?
In the primary.
Oh, I didn't know this. So that was your actual sin?
Yeah.
They were mad at you before the Jewish space lasers thing.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's right. I wasn't one of them.
So where, I mean, looking back on it, and I'm sure you must, on some level, still feel rage. But trying to coolly assess it, where do you think you differed from Republican leadership or the Republican establishment on policy? What didn't they like about your?
Well, I came in and my views were concreted not only from how I grew up in a small business, not a wealthy family, in a family where my dad was literally living the true American dream. My father, Robert Taylor, the construction company, the company that I bought after college, started out so poor. They had $500 to their name when I was born. And they just worked hard, and I learned all their lessons growing up in the company. Went to college. After college, I bought my parents' company. I had to buy it. It wasn't given to me. It wasn't like I wasn't a trust fund baby or anything. And so I actually had to earn it. And I truly believe the things that I say, and I think that made me the greatest threat to Republicans and Democrats in Washington. Is I am sincere.
It was interesting though, because I kept reading you described as this crazed radical, which isn't all bad. Sometimes we need crazed radicals. Now may be the time. But at the time, whatever it was 4 years ago, I looked at your positions, and they didn't strike me as crazed or radical. They seemed pretty mainstream to me. Like we're kind of just normal
That's
concerns.
right.
Am I missing something?
Yeah, you're missing that Washington doesn't care about normal Americans and normal American ideas and normal normal American values.